right, and welcome to another episode of Gold Rush here on the JTR Podcast Network. This is Mark Rebin coming to you from the Noodles position in Champaign, Illinois, joined as always by my tag team partner, Jabari Sinclair and Bari. We finally get this one in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Few false starts on this episode, but I'm
False
glad we're finally
starts,
getting.
and life happens. And I mean, hey, we're here now, though. We'll get
Yes,
it rolling.
and I'm glad we are because we've covered just about every other WWF WWE Tag Team Championship worth talking about. We haven't got to this one yet, so I'm glad we're talking about it. We're talking about the World Tag Team Championship, the Raw version from 2002 to 2010, which we already did the SmackDown one. We did the WWE Championships from back then, but this one, I think I preferred this one to the SmackDown one myself.
Yeah, me too.
In fact, when they decided to go with the unified version and put them together, I was kind of hoping they'd just drop the SmackDown belts and just use these going forward. But that's not how they make their money on belt sales, to not make something new, right?
No, not at all. And they allowed them to carry around both sets, and well, that was that.
Yes. So, a couple things about this. This is a Jamar design belt here, as most of them were back in the early 2000s. It debuted, and by debut I mean the first time we saw it on television was the November 18th, 2002 Monday Night Raw episode, when it was held by Jericho and Christian.
Yep.
And then it was deactivated on August 16th, 2010. Sorry, first day with the new tongue. But after the Hart Dynasty had the unified belts for a while, they got discontinued, and they introduced the big pennies, as we like to call them.
Big penny. And we don't mean Penny Hardaway.
No. Or Penny Marshall or any of those pennies. First team to hold the belt, like I said, Christian and Chris Jericho in late 2002. And last one was the Hart Dynasty of Harry Smith and TJ Wilson / Tyson Kidd back in 2010. Most reigns with this belt, just team, not individual, Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch with 3. The longest reign and probably most dubious, Bari, is the Spirit Squad, 216 days.
Right. Imagine that.
But hey, it gave the world Dolph Ziggler, so it can't be all bad.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Surprising, Bari, the shortest reign was the Dudleys. One day.
One day, yep. I remember
2003, because they won them at the Rumble, dropped them on Raw the next night.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the belt itself real quick. This was kind of, I always looked at this as an offshoot of that undisputed WWE Championship that they introduced.
Yeah. It gives you that feel, especially with that little nameplate down there.
Yeah, and of course you got you got to have the little thing of the guys wrestling in the side plates. It's kind of a staple for a good title belt.
Definitely.
And you got the big WWE logo there. I liked the fact that the globe was red, which I don't think was specifically because it was a Raw belt, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought it looked cool with the globe being red.
Yeah, me too. With the gold and the red and the black, it all just went together real good.
Yeah, it offset very nicely there.
So, yes, it did.
Yeah. Yep. And as if by clockwork. I thought maybe she would sleep through this, but...
Well, of course. She's got to make an appearance.
Oh, of course. She got to make sure things are running smooth, which they weren't yesterday. You know what, Bari, we've been doing these podcasts for a little over 3 years. And they've always been pretty much like live to tape, not edited, not adjusted or anything.
Right.
My hat is off to editors that do this stuff, because we were recording our ECW pod yesterday, and there were a few glitches that I had to go back and clean up before we could put it out, and it was a pain in my ass. I mean, it is so you got to get the mouse in just the right spot and everything. If I had it, I would have been pulling my hair out, Bari.
Right.
But we got it done. It's that did get uploaded. Episode 2 used to be on TNN on the Extreme After Review podcast. If you want to check that out on Spotify. And yeah, so we're back to kind of my comfort zone, which is doing this on StreamYard on video, not editing. Uh, cat baby walking on the keyboard, please don't. Yes. Uh, so anyway, as usual, distracted by a cat. It's kind of our friend group's MO, you know. So
It really is the fur babies.
yes, crawl in a desirable place this morning when I was asleep. So she woke me up out of a dead sleep. If you know what I mean?
Oh, oh,
Yeah, she's kind of oblivious about that kind of stuff. Let's move on. They're not here to talk about cats, Bari. We got to talk about
right.
this belt.
Even though we love noodles so much.
We do. Uh, so let's just get into it. We're going to talk about the all the teams that held this belt, and the thing that I noticed going through this, Bari, is a lot of thrown together teams
A
here.
lot of strong together teams. I mean, this was a time where the tag team division wasn't strong, and it definitely was not strong on Raw. It was a little strong on SmackDown,
Yeah.
but on Raw, yeah, it was not strong. So there was a lot of guys who didn't have anything going on, just thrown together, and
hmm Now,
they didn't.
yeah. Now there were some really good tag teams in this list,
Oh yeah,
but yeah, you'll notice a lot more just thrown together than not in this case here. So let's just start with the first one. Like I said, Jericho and Christian. Uh,
God, look at those young men, young men.
I know back when they both had hair. Christian before fatherhood ravaged him.
Okay, Jericho before life took over his body.
Back when Jericho was still tolerable.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, they retired this one here, Bari, that's sitting by me, like in favor of these new belts instead of
Hmm.
this one. And I was at first I wasn't a fan of dropping this one because this is such an iconic design and everything.
It
But
is.
then when I saw the belts that they, I was like, I think, okay, I can go with this. This is gonna work. So they held these from the 18th of November through the Armageddon pay per view, Bari, and they had the Four Corners match on the show that kicked it off with the Dudleys, Regal and Lance Storm, and Booker and Goldust. And I went back and I watched that match today, and it's
Booker
still
and
holds up.
Goldie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, Goldie and Booker won the belts, and they held them for a little over a week. But
that was it.
tell me if you remember this. I didn't subscribe to the WWE magazine, but I had a friend that did, so I would read them every now and then when I'd be at his house. Do you ever remember them naming Booker and Goldust tag team?
I don't.
Okay, I didn't either, but apparently they tried to make this stick. They tried to call them Black Gold,
Well, man, okay.
kind of
I
on
know,
the nose.
right? I know that Booker would call Goldust Goldie, but
Right, right. But
as far as
that sounds like a Vince call.
yeah, it
Hey,
does.
pal.
How about we go with Black and Gold, and we'll give you a tag title run? How about that, pal?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I actually misspoke. They held the belts for 22 days. Uh, I thought it was shorter than that. But yeah, they won the belts at Armageddon on December 15th in the four-way. Then they would drop them on the January 6th Raw because nothing bad ever happens on that day, Bari.
Ever.
And we got maybe my one of my favorite teams to hold this belt, which is Regal and Storm.
Mine too. Mine
I mean,
too. I went back and watched. I think it was them and the Dudleys a few days ago, and yeah, I enjoyed Storm and Regal.
yeah, I know this kind of falls under that thrown together team thing, but they had been in the Un-Americans together before this, and their styles just meshed perfectly. Like they're both really technically sound wrestlers. Lance could do some of the high flying stuff, but they just really worked so well as a team. And then I remember uh, Regal got hurt. I forget what it was that happened to him, but he had to
Probably
take some
not
significant
related.
time off. But before that happened, they did, like we said, they dropped the belts to the Dudleys at the Rumble, and then the next night they won them back. But then Regal, I forget what happened to Regal. I think it was a virus or something, concussions. It was something put him. It knocked him for a loop. He was gone for a while.
That might have been the time he got the virus. Then
Okay, but I think we need to fact check this. I don't think AJ's in the chat yet, so I will do that as we go. But yeah, when Regal took the time off, they were still tag champs, so they were kind of put in a bad spot because Lance Storm needed a partner, and they wound up subbing in the esteemed chief of staff of Eric Bischoff, Chief
Chief
Morley,
Moore.
Val Venus, to fill in, and yeah, so they had a run of, let me look, about a week. So yeah, they Morley awarded himself and Storm the titles after Regal suffered. Okay, here it is. He suffered from a heart parasite and a concussion.
Mm.
Yeesh. Damn.
Heart parasite. That's rough.
Yeah. So yeah, time off I think was welcome there.
Yeah.
So Morley orders him and Storm the tag titles on March 24th on Raw. Then the week later, in a three-way elimination match, also involving the Dudleys, they would drop the belts to Kane and Van Dam, and they had a good run with these belts, Bari.
They did another great thrown together tag.
But they also had the running trope of Morley trying to get the belts off of him, and he
Yeah.
would throw everybody. I think they brought the Road Warriors in to face him on Raw one night.
Hawk didn't sell the finish.
No, no, he didn't. And then, of course, then the Dudleys, well, finger quotes turned heel. It was more of they joined up with Morley to get a title shot. But they wound up taking on Van Dam and Kane at Backlash and losing because of interference from Morley and Storm. And then they turned babyface again. And then eventually, after a while, they would Kane and Van Dam dropped the belts on June 15th at Bad Blood. We're bringing that back, Bari.
Yes, they
Bad
are.
Blood's coming back in a few weeks. But at this version of Bad Blood, they dropped the tag belts to La Resistance,
Distance.
Rene Dupree and Sylvain Grenier.
Croissants and fluffy puppies.
that name doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, it doesn't.
This was one of the. This was. I really enjoyed this team. They were young. They had an interesting gimmick. They had heat for days with the French sympathizer gimmick.
They did.
And a good tag team. I thought they made for a good team.
Oh yeah.
And
they were puppies. They were young.
Yeah, I think Dupree was 20.
Yeah.
I forget how old Grenier was. He wasn't much older than that. And then eventually they would bring in Rob Conway, the Iron Man, as their heater.
Yeah.
Talk about heat. SummerSlam when he was dressed as a soldier. I'm sorry, that was on Raw, and then he showed up at SummerSlam as a photographer. But
yeah,
you pose as a serviceman and then turn on the baby faces. You're going to get heat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they hold the belts for 98 days, which is pretty impressive for a young team. And then they would drop them to the Dudleys at Unforgiven on September 21st, which is a match that I watched today. It was a handicap tables match. It was La Resistance and Conway against the Dudleys. Because do you remember the bump that Spike took like the week before?
Outside the ring.
Uh-huh.
To the back of the head.
Back of the head on the edge of the I thought they killed him. When I watched that show live. I thought they killed him.
Yeah.
And he was that was 2 weeks because the week after he had to wrestle Conway. But that was the damnedest bump I ever saw anybody take. And that's saying something being Spike's an ECW guy. He probably took some crazy shit back then too.
Exactly.
But I went back and watched the match at Unforgiven, and the Dudleys gave Conway the same spot that Spike took. It was 2 tables, but he still clipped his head on the edge of one of the tables on his way down. And I'm thinking, can we not do that?
Please, exactly. You're going to decapitate somebody.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to break somebody's brainstem or something. But what do we know? We're just fans. Uh, yeah. So the Dudleys won the belts at Unforgiven. They got a proper title run this time instead of just transitioning. Well, one team transitioning to the same team, I guess. Uh, which makes a world of sense. And then they hold them for 84 days until Armageddon in December 14th, 2003. They had defended the belts in a tag team turmoil match featuring Conway and Dupree, Hurricane and Rosie. Forgot about Hurricane and Rosie. Jindrak and
Superheroes.
Garrison Cade, Venus and Storm, and Test and Scott Steiner, and won. And then Bischoff sent out Evolution, Flair and Batista, to come out as a surprise entrant, and they wound up beating the Dudleys. And this was the night that every member of Evolution walked out with gold because Orton won the
So,
Intercontinental title, and then
yep.
Hunter won the World title.
Yep.
So it's kind of, people gave them enough comparisons to the Horsemen. And they go and do that, which is basically Horseman booking from Dusty in the 80s. I don't remember them defending them a lot. I know they defended against the Dudleys at the Rumble, but for the most part, they didn't have a lot of title defenses as a team.
Yeah, no, that was it. They had the belts more for show.
I think it was mainly just to get all the belts in Evolution.
Yeah.
But they held the belts for 64 days until Raw in Bakersfield, California on February 16th. And then they dropped the belts to Booker and Rob Van Dam. And again, two guys thrown together. Styles worked. I mean, they're both athletic. They can fly a little bit.
Exactly. One of a kind. Can you dig it?
Yeah, that's also the time that they like to do the mashups of the theme musics for these thrown together tag teams, Bari. I didn't always go for it.
Yeah, and that one in particular wasn't a banger at all.
No, it was very sloppily done.
Yes, very.
Now we'll get to one later on that I think I can say was a banger, but we'll get to that here in a bit. Booker
Yeah.
and Van Dam defended the belts in the 4-way at WrestleMania, and then like the week later, Batista and Flair won the belts back on Raw in Detroit on March 22nd. Then they hold them for another month or so, and then on April 19th on Raw in Calgary, because they always have to do this in Calgary, they dropped the belts to Edge and Benoit.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give the Canadian baby faces the Canadian pop.
You got to.
It just makes sense. Of course, this is when Benoit was also the world champion, so they didn't have a whole lot of title defenses there either. They did wind up dropping the belts to La Resistance again, but this time it was Conway and Grenier. Dupree was on SmackDown by this point on May 31st. So by this point, I think Conway was going by Robert Conway. He was really buying into the French stuff here.
Yeah. He was Robert Conway.
Yes, and yeah. So here they are. This is this version of La Resistance there without Conway.
Smug bastard.
And actually, they were more Quebecois heels than French heels at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They were embracing the French Canadian lifestyle there.
Well, if you're a heel, then you have to be from Quebec if you're a Canadian.
Pretty much, yeah, because you got to speak the French.
Yeah.
They had a good run. They held these belts for 141 days, Bari, up until October. And then this was the first Taboo Tuesday, Bari. The voted on match results that I'm not going to say that they weren't legitimate, but come on. I think they kind of massaged those a little bit to get what they wanted.
We tell you what we like.
But Taboo Tuesday, they did the vote for the World Heavyweight Championship match with Triple H. It was between Michaels, Edge, and Benoit. And Michaels won the vote, which meant that Edge and Benoit would get the title shot against La Resistance. And Edge was a heel at this point. He he kind of lost it a little bit. So he and Benoit won the tag team titles again. Benoit by himself. Edge kind of he bailed during this match. So Benoit beat the tag champs by himself, and then they got the belts back. They would wound up losing them back to La Resistance on November 1st on Raw. I forget what the scenario was with that one. I forget if Edge did the same thing to him again. But then they have it for another 2 weeks, 14 days until November 15th. And then they were in a three-way elimination match with Rhino and Tajiri and the eventual winners of the match, Regal and Eugene.
Gotta
And
love it.
yes, and this was in Indy, so we probably know some people that were at this show, Bari.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So Eugene and Regal hold these belts for 62 days until New Year's Revolution, when Eugene dislocated his patella in the title defense, and uh, I think they won the match at New Year's Revolution. Then at a house show the next on January 16th, they dropped him back to La Resistance in Canada. Coachman replaced Eugene in this match due to injury, so take with that what you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I would have had a better. I would have put my money on Regal by himself before Regal and Coachman.
I'd have said, yeah, I'm good.
So, moving on here, they will hold the belts for 19 days until Raw went to Japan February 4th, and Regal got the belts back, but this time he had his old buddy Tajiri with him.
Jerry, our favorite buzzsaw.
Yes, I like that shirt too. Born Naughty,
Yeah.
because he was. He
Mm-hmm.
could be. He could be the whitest meat of baby faces, but he's still gonna whip those knucks out if he needed to.
Power of the punch.
Yes. All right. They hold these belts for 86 days until Backlash in 2005 on May 1st. Have another tag team turmoil. Vince loved those tag team turmoil matches, didn't he?
Get everybody on the card.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm gonna run down everybody in this match. I want you to react as we go here. So it's a 14 match, and so we got Conway and Grenier, La Resistance,
Okay.
Simon Dean and Maven.
Okay.
I mean, because why not?
Yeah.
And the Heartthrobs.
Who?
Do you remember the Heartthrobs?
Were they like the male stripper guys?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find a picture here. It was Romeo and Antonio, I think it was.
Oh boy.
Let's see if I be a good. Okay. Oh, this picture will do nicely. All
Love
right.
it.
I'm throwing this up here. They they were there for maybe a cup of coffee. They were, I guess, a big deal in OVW before this, but they just did not get over.
Ooh, okay, yeah, those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. You kind of wince when you see those fellas.
I need a drink of water.
But anyway, luckily the Heartthrobs did not win. So
Yeah.
it wound up being the eventual champions, which were Rosie and the Hurricane.
Okay.
They
Yeah. This was a thrown together team as well, but it worked.
Yes, they even threw Stacy Keibler in there with them
Mm.
as a ballet for a bit. But yeah, this worked. I mean, they were doing the superhero in training thing for a while with Rosie before this, so as a team, it made sense. And Rosie got a proper superhero uniform instead of just sweatpants.
Exactly.
And they would hold, wow, they hold the belts for 140 days. So they had a good run with this. Up through Unforgiven in Oklahoma on September 18th. And then this is our first mention of these guys, Caden Murdoch.
These fellas right here.
Look at
The handsome cowboy and his redneck buddy.
that. Pretty much.
Yeah,
This would be like if Trevor Murdoch today was teaming with Clayton Clark.
exactly.
But yeah, because I remember Cade at first when he was teaming with Jindrak in the first part of 2004,
Hmm.
and then I guess they just didn't know what to do with him, so they had to wait until they found something, and that something was Big Trevor.
Like, hey, we found this ugly son bitch to put you with. You guys are gonna work,
Pretty
and they
much.
worked, and they
Yeah,
worked.
they worked, and they worked for 44 days on this first run until the second Taboo Tuesday in 2005. Same rules. It was the whoever did not get voted into the WWE Championship match got put into the tag match, and I think it was Angle won the vote for the WWE title match on this show, if I remember correctly. But the important thing is the guys that didn't get picked, which were Kane and the Big Show.
Ah, my favorite tag team out of this whole conglomerate of things we got going on here. I love these guys as tag team champions.
They gelled very fast as a team.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Couple
they
of
had these
7
belts
foot,
for a while.
yeah, powerhouses. Couple of
Yeah.
monsters as tag team
Almost
champions.
almost killed Batista more than once.
Oh God, that double choke slam was something
Oh,
serious.
the one on the car before Survivor Series.
Mhm.
Batista looked
I
like the
want to
mummy.
say, didn't Kane and Show take on Batista and Rey Mysterio at an Armageddon and like just
Mm,
beat both of them, or was that
It
Batista and
was
Taker?
it was I think it was Batista and Cena. Then Batista and Taker took on Cena and Michaels before WrestleMania.
Okay,
Then there was they did okay. I remember now. Kane and Big Show wrestled Batista and Ray on SmackDown because they had all the tag titles, and
yeah,
then
that's right.
at the pay per view it was Batista and Cena.
Okay,
Sounds right. This is this is from about 20 years ago, people. So
exactly. All I remember is Show and Kane beating the piss out of whoever it was.
yeah, and so they hold these belts up through April 3rd, so the night after WrestleMania. Because
WrestleMania.
remember, they defended against Masters and Carlito at Mania,
Hmm.
and then the next night they would drop the belts to these chuckleheads here, Spirit Squad.
Right. These wayward souls,
Yeah.
if you will.
Oh, I will. Hey, look at Dolph there, second from the right.
Hmm. That Kenny Dykstra could have been a star too, but
Could have been. I think I heard he's a pretty highly regarded agent right now in the company.
yeah,
But
yeah.
back then he was just a kid, and I think he may have had some. He wasn't all there in the head. I think he had a bit of an ego.
Well,
I don't
of
know that for
course.
sure. I wasn't there.
Well, can't confirm.
I know he was engaged to or married to Mickey James at one point.
Yeah, and it was born in Victoria too.
Good for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, in this match, Kenny and Mikey won the match. Mike Mondo, but all five were recognized as champions under the Freebird rule.
Hmm.
And then they had them. This is like I said. These guys have the record for the longest reign with 216 days until
And then
November.
to me, let me chime in real fast on that Freebird rule, real
Okay.
fast. To me, I think it works if you have a faction and somebody within the faction wins the tag team championships. Then sure, make the entire faction the tag team champions because then now you get different combinations of tag teams. So you never know who you're going to take on.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. It works for a heel faction.
Yeah. Like they did it with the New Day as baby faces, which I mean, it was they were grandfathered in because they did it when they were heels also. But now I think the Bloodline are doing that now. Is that the case? It's all
No,
three of them, or is it just Tonga and Tama?
just Tanga and Tama. Solo told Jacob that he can't focus on the tag team championship while he's his right hand man.
Uh, Sounds like they might be sowing seeds for a face run for Jacob if you ask me. I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of Bloodline members to come in, and but that's not what we're here to. We're not here to talk about current wrestling. We're here to talk about this belt. So let's move on here.
Right.
Uh, so the Spirit Squad, 216 days from April 3rd to November 5th. Cyber Sunday in Cincinnati,
Cyber Sunday.
which was, hey, we can't do this on a Tuesday anymore, basically, what they're saying. So,
Exactly.
and they voted, it was going to be the Spirit Squad against Flair and a partner, and I think the vote was several legends, I think like Dusty, Sarge, I forget who all else, but they wound up picking Piper, and then Piper and Flair won the belts from the cheerleaders. There you see Dusty in the background.
Mm-hmm. And that's a different design of the belt because you don't see the red globe on that one.
No, they changed it, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Unless the paint just wore off, but
That's a possibility too.
I suppose. But yeah, so Piper got his first tag team championship. This is Flair's third in the company. Didn't last long though. I think that was just a feel good moment. Piper, I think, wound up taking time off because I think he got a cancer diagnosis, so he had to step away.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, but 8 days after they won the belts on November 13th, 06 in Manchester, England, they would drop the belts to maybe my favorite team that held these, Bari, which is Rated RKO.
They were great. Yeah.
Yeah. Because see, I think the red's back on the globe on this picture.
Those are brand new belts too.
Those are brand new, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Flair and Piper got to put those other ones on their trophy case at home.
Oh yeah.
Just because they're Flair and Piper.
Right.
I really like these guys, and this is the one I was talking about. Their matched up theme song, I think, was just totally kick ass.
It was. It meshed well together.
It did. So yeah, they won the belts in Manchester, England. Held the belts for 77 days, and then this is where I was not thrilled with the booking of the belts here, Bari, because on January 29th of 07 in Dallas, they would drop the belts to Michaels and John Cena.
John Cena, exactly. And that was just to further their WrestleMania storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the idea of using the tag belts as a just a what's the word I'm looking for, Bari?
They prostituted the tag team championships, is what they did.
All right, you heard it from the man himself there. Okay, so yeah, so Cena, Michaels hold the belts through WrestleMania when they were opponents. So this was the second time the tag team champions wrestled each other at Mania after Mysterio and Guerrero did it before.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not a lot of title defenses from those two. I know they had the match at No Way Out, them against Batista and Taker. It was not a title match. It was just an attraction from WrestleMania.
Exactly.
On April 2nd of 07, the night after WrestleMania, they got put in a tag team battle royal with, this is a long list. So I'm going to run down this list here, Bari. There's some pretty good teams here. So we've got William Regal and Dave Taylor, Chavo and Gregory Helms. This is an interpromotional battle royal because everybody was in town because of WrestleMania.
Right.
Marcus Corban and Kevin Thorne from ECW. Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman. London and Kendrick. Nitro and The Miz. So this is Miz and Morrison before they were Miz and Morrison.
Right.
In this battle royal. Val Venus and Viscera. It's a lot of V's. And Cade and Murdoch, and then the eventual winners, because Michaels basically screwed over Cena because they weren't done yet, apparently. But the Hardys wound up winning the Battle Royal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was okay with it. I mean, I'm a sucker, man. I like it when a traditional team holds the tag team championships. And at this point, both these guys were over. I know Matt was on SmackDown at the time, which some people took an issue with, but I didn't really care either way.
I was fine with it too.
Yeah, and they had a good run. I remember they had a heck of a ladder match with Hassan Benjamin during this point.
Yeah.
They wound up dropping the belts after 63 days, back to Caden Murdoch in Florida on June 4th. And then they did the old house show switcheroo, Bari, on September 5th at a house show in Cape Town, South Africa. They dropped the belts to Paul London and Brian Kendrick. And then 3 days later, they got the belts back. So no harm done.
None. Not at all.
Although I wouldn't have hated seeing these guys get a longer run because they had a great run with the SmackDown tag titles the year before.
Hell, they had the longest run.
Yeah. But yeah, September 8th in Johannesburg, Caden Murdoch won the belts back. And they held them through December at the Raw 15th anniversary in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And then they would drop the belts to Bob Holly. And who's that young whippersnapper there with him, Bari?
That whippersnapper back there. Look at him. That's Dusty Rhodes' baby boy.
Yeah, that is young Cody. Like, wetter behind the ears than I can even describe at this point.
Greener than fucking gourds.
He was he 19 or 20 at this point?
What year was this?
2007.
And Cody is...
Yeah, it was December of 07.
He's 2 years younger than me, so... Yeah, he's 21.
Okay, so he's just a pup here. And I gotta say, I'm surprised because Bob Holly notoriously did not care for young wrestlers or rookies.
He didn't, but that was
I gotta wonder if this was a rib.
He was doing right. It was either a rib or he was doing Dream a favor.
Maybe that could be,
Yeah.
But they had a long run with this. They held these belts for 202 days.
And then we already know Bob Holly feels like, give me the belt. I got an idea. Give me the belt. So hey, okay, we'll give you the belt, but we'll give you this baby too.
Pretty much. Oh, my goodness. Do you remember how they lost the titles, Bari?
I do. It was weeks. I mean, weeks of build-up of wanting to know who was Ted DiBiase Jr.'s partner. Who was his partner? And he built that shit up, man. And I thought it was going to be somebody else. And then we get to Night of Champions and boom, Swerve. Swerved us all.
Yep, because Cody was his partner all along.
I like it. I
loved it. I thought it was so good.
I want to see somebody else pull this storyline out. Pull that angle out anyway. And use it.
There's plenty of cases where that could work.
Yeah.
But again, it's got to be the right guys. And these guys, it worked because they were young and they're hungry. You got to see Cody kind of spread his wings a little bit as a heel. They put him with Orton.
Yep.
Which, best thing could have happened to Cody at that point was travel with Randy Orton to learn some things. But they were, their tag team name was Priceless. They were part of the Legacy faction, of course.
Yeah, I'm priceless.
Yeah. This was in June of 2008. So then they built themselves into a pretty damn good tag team, Bari. I'm just going to say it.
They did.
Then August 4th on Raw, 11 years to the day of another pretty monumental title change when Lex Luger beat Hogan. Then we get this, and this is when I actually wasn't watching Raw at this period. I was just kind of, because I was always working on Monday night, so I never got to see it, and I didn't have DVR or any of that stuff. So I was kind of surprised when I saw that Batista and Cena were tag team champions.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Menders and I we were on the ECW pod last night. We did the episode where Raven debuted and him and Dreamer won the tag titles.
Tag titles, yeah.
So this is kind of a similar dynamic, not with the hate, obviously, of Raven and Dreamer, but we got two guys that are rivals and going back and forth. They both want the same things. They're picking at each other. And they wind up holding the belts for a week until the next Raw on August 11th, Hogan's birthday, surprisingly. And DiBiase and Cody won the belts back. And then, I guess they just needed a 7-day vacation because they want to hold the belts for about another 77 days at this point until Raw on October 27th of 08. And I watched this match back today, Bari, and I really enjoyed it when they dropped the belts to Punk and Kofi on Raw.
Yep, that was a good match.
Man, watching that match, you realize just how different Punk worked in 2008 than he does now.
Exactly. And watching Punk, Kofi, and Cody,
Cody.
it's like the three of y'all are still banging today. You
Mm-hmm.
know. Sorry, Ted.
Yeah. And back before Cody had issues with the bloodline, he had Manu in his corner.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha
Oh
Jr.
boy. Oh boy.
And he didn't last long. I think after that match, they kicked him out of the group.
No, he did not last long. He stuck out like a sore fucking thumb.
He kind of did. Kofi and Punk hold the belts until December at a house show in Hamilton, Ontario, and then they would drop the belts to John Morrison and The Miz.
These fellas.
Yes. Be jealous.
Yeah, they were so fun as tag. They were so
I
fun.
enjoyed them as a team.
Yeah.
I liked the dirt sheet, the
Yes.
thing on the website. They were insufferable, like when they put them back together, like, what was it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Exactly. Yeah.
When they had zombies and water guns and all that shit.
In this world, there are winners and there are losers.
So good. And great for The Miz, because The Miz was still kind of struggling to get over with the fans and with the boys at this point. But I think this did him good. So I enjoyed their run, which lasted for 113 days until WrestleMania 25, and then they dropped the belts in a unification match, Bari, on the pre-show. I didn't care for that. I thought that should have been on the main show. With all the stakes to it, I thought it should have been on the main show.
Exactly.
But Miz and Morrison dropped the belts to the Colognes, Carlito and Primo. When the first time we see the belt suspenders of Carlito. And I just thought wearing them both around your waist at the same time looked kind of hokey, because one of them was basically a bra.
Exactly.
The way Carlito was wearing it makes sense.
Yeah, or wear one around your waist and the other one around your shoulder.
Yeah, that works too. So Carly and Primo hold the belts for 84 days. Like I said, this was a lumberjack match also. I forgot that part. So they picked the most overbooked stipulations for a tag title match and don't even put it on the main show at WrestleMania. Which I guess maybe they would have got everybody would have gotten a payday for Mania instead of a pre-show, which would have been different.
Right.
The titles became known as the Unified WWE Tag Team Championship, but remained independently active, which means that they could have defended them separately, but they never did. It was always just together. They hold the belts until June 28th at the Bash, because I guess they couldn't call it the Great American Bash anymore in Sacramento, California. And then they dropped the belts to Jericho and Edge, which I thought was a very interesting decision to put these two as a team at this point.
Yeah, it was.
And
they didn't have anything for the fellas, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately. I mean, at this point, I think Punk was the world champion, and was it Orton was WWE champion, running with Cena and Hunter and all them. So they got this worked up for Jericho and Edge. Edge wound up getting hurt. This is when he tore his Achilles. And was out for several months. And Edge and Jericho in this match at the match, it was a triple threat, also involving the Legacy. So they beat some pretty good teams to win this. Shortly after winning, Edge suffered a torn Achilles tendon, which required surgery and forced him to vacate his half of the championship. Jericho was allowed to keep his title and choose a new partner, and he chose
one hell of a partner.
He chose the biggest tag team partner you can think of, which is the Big Show.
Yeah.
Big Show debuted in Night of Champions, and this is technically recognized as a separate reign for Jericho, even though he never actually lost the titles. But they wound up facing Legacy on this show when Jericho and Big Show officially won their version of the tag titles. And this was good for Jericho. Jericho, with a big some bitch to be his heater, was always a good call at this point when he was a heel.
Yeah, it was, and this is the suit wearing.
This is like extreme Bockwinkel Jericho.
Exactly.
Big words, suits, short hair.
Do Do you understand what I am saying to you right now?
Mm-hmm. All right. How long did they hold these for? They held the belts for 140 days from July through December. And then in a TLC match at the TLC pay per view in San Antonio,
Hell of a
they would drop.
TLC match too to DX. Yeah,
Yeah, dropping DX. Shawn won the belts in his hometown. Uh, First time these two ever held the tag titles together, and the last, which is surprising. I think a lot of people consider these guys one of the greatest tag teams ever. I don't myself. I think they're one of the greatest factions ever.
exactly.
But as a tag team, this was the only time they ever won the belts. They had a shot with Rated RKO before this, but then Triple H got hurt,
Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
and they held these for 57 days. They wound up dropping the belts on Raw. I remember this because this is right after I bought my house in Tilton. So while I was painting, I was watching Raw. And on February 8th of 2010, in a triple threat elimination match between DX, the Straight Edge Society of Punk and Gallows, and Big Show and The Miz. And
mm-hmm.
there we go. Miz kind of taking that Jericho formula, get him a big heater. And 3-belt Miz. I don't think anybody's had 3 belts at once since then, have they?
No.
But yeah, show Miz. I never cared for the name, but they had a nice long run, 77 days with this until Raw on April 26th of 2010, and then they dropped the belts to the Hart Dynasty. And we don't get a whole lot of chance to put over just how damn good Tyson Kidd was in the ring.
Career cut short, but yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he was a glorious combination of Brett and Owen.
He really was.
He had the athleticism of an Owen, but he had the technique of a Brett. And then you throw in Harry, he's like if Bulldog was stretched out 2 more feet.
Exactly.
And he's still a big old stud in MLW.
Yes, he is.
But and then they had Natty with them, and they hold these titles for, let me check, 112 days until the belts are deactivated on August 16th, 2010, and then we get the big pennies. So yeah, a nice long lineage of champions. Like I said, most of the champions were just kind of thrown together singles guys, but you had a few. You had your Dudleys, your Hardys, your Hart Dynasty, your to an extent DX. What?
Your La Resistance.
La Resistance, Cade Murdoch. So you had some like established tag teams in there. But like I said, Vince didn't have a really high opinion on tag team wrestling at this point, which is a shame because really I don't know about you. I love tag team wrestling. That's my favorite thing.
I like it. I like tag team wrestling, but when it's good tag team wrestling, yes, I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And when it's bad, I want to pull my hair out. It has to be here because here you got nothing.
Yeah, well,
I mean, all the companies out there right now, they have really good tag teams, and then they got some that just I can't watch.
Yeah,
I'm not going to name names. That's not what this show's about, Bari. But you know who I'm talking about on both ends. All right. Well, let's move on here. Let's talk notable feuds, Bari. There we go. Look at that. That makes it official when I got the card up. So I've got 5 that stuck out, and then I want to see if I missed any. But I've got the Dudleys and La Resistance from 03. Mm-hmm. I got the Hardys and Hassan Benjamin, just for the ladder match, and just I love seeing Shelton in a prominent position on the card there. I put the Dudleys with the Storm Regal Morley unit because that was a good several month run with all those guys. Caden Murdoch against Hurricane and Rosie, because that's what really put Caden Murdoch on the map when they came up, and then RKO and DX. So that's who I got.
I'll add one more to that list. The DX Jericho feud.
Okay. Hey, that's the feud that got us Kofi Kingston just dropping the charade and losing the Jamaican accent.
Hmm. Things came out of that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I said there weren't a lot of like big feuds for these belts for the most part. Like I said, it was mostly just stuff that was thrown together. But you you'll notice, like in all of these I mentioned, at least one of the members is an established tag team.
Yeah.
So that's where it works. Let's talk about. Let's see. Let's talk about our favorite matches here for what we got. I got five. So first one I threw in the four way Armageddon of '02. Goldust and Booker against Storm and Regal, Dudley's, Jericho, and Christian. Mainly for the back half after the Dudleys and Storm and Regal got eliminated, because the bit with Goldust and Booker against Jericho and Christian was really good. And they were telling the story about Goldust having, like, his confidence was shot and all that. It was good stuff. Jim Ross did a marvelous job of telling the story on this match here, which I actually forgot about until I watched the show this morning. But, I'm gonna throw in the Dudleys and La Resistance from Unforgiven, the handicap tables match. A lot of Dudleys. My first three are all Dudleys matches. Uh, but there's a reason for that. The Dudleys against Van Dam and Kane from Backlash, I thought was a really good match, and the fuckery worked
Yes.
because it wasn't all together. Because Morley comes out, he goes to wax. I think it was Van Dam, and wound up hitting Devon on accident. No, he hit Bubba. Then Devon got pissed and they beat up on Morley, and then Storm came out to help Morley. It was just very, very nicely done. I got the hard show Miz match from Raw when they won the belts on here.
Okay.
It's good. And then I threw in Punk and Kofi beating Cody and Ted at on Raw.
Very nice. I'll add one more to that spectacular list. TLC 4 from Raw.
Oh, that's the Raw Roulette, right?
That's going to be the match that Bubba got concussed in. Yes.
Yes. So it was Bub and Spike, Christian and Jericho, Kane and her. Well, technically Kane. There was no Hurricane. And then was it Jeff and Van Dam? Jeff Hardy and Van Dam?
I think so.
Okay, because I think it was, well, in the build-up, it was going to be Bully and Tommy, but then Spike weaseled in and got the shot instead. But yeah, Bubba took that Bulldog off the ladder, and oh, man, he said that was the worst concussion he's ever had, and I believe him.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoyed that. I'm not a big fan of ladder matches usually, but I did enjoy that match. Although it was the aftermath when we first got told about Katie Vick, which we try to
Yeah.
forget about.
Wow. Jeez.
Jesus Christ, Vince. Jeez. Well, let's set about that the better, Bari. So let's talk greatest champions to hold the belt here. And like usual, I made a list, individuals and teams, just, to be fair. As far as individuals go, my top five, I've got Regal, I got Edge, Kane, Big Show, and Jericho.
That's fair.
Mainly because they all had at least three runs with this belt at one point or another. As far as teams go, I'm going Dudley's, La Resistance, Regal and Storm, Miz and Morrison, and Cody and DiBiase.
Nice. My list goes in there's no particular order. I got the Hardys, I got the Dudleys, I got Cade Murdoch, I got Christian and Chris Jericho, and I got Jerry Show.
Man, Kate and Murdoch almost made my list. They should have, because they have the most reigns. They hold the belts three times.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I could bump Miz and Morrison off because they only held these belts once. But it is what it is. All right. So did you pick this one, Bari?
I picked this one. Yes, I did.
Okay. So it's my turn, is what you're
Yes,
saying.
it's your turn. Ooh.
All right. Let me think for just a second. I'm going to go. You know what? I'll tell you what we're going to do because I thought of this a while ago. We're going to stick with WWF. But I'm going to throw the picture up here. So, oh, whoops. No, it's got to be a JPEG. Let me. There we go. The suspense is killing everyone, I can tell, because it just went silent. So, and we're going to cover both versions of the belt because it's similar enough. But I want to talk about the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship.
Okay. All right. Cool.
You got the original red strap there, and then of course we got the black strap after that, there, which
Let me
was
write this down.
this one. But not a long. It only went for about 3.5, 4 years, maybe, before they like absorbed it into the Cruiserweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
But some pretty notable names held it, and I love the look of it, especially the red strap with the block logo. And
And I'm sure you can find some interesting stories about it too.
oh, I'm sure we'll have to do some research on this one, Bari.
So, right.
We'll have to talk about the tournament, the crown the first champion, because there's some names in there that
Yeah,
people
yeah,
might not
there is.
realize.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we got to look forward to next time we do this. Hopefully in 2 weeks.
We'll play it by ear, but
We will,
card is always subject to change.
that's true. But I'm looking forward to talking about this one with you, Bari. Don't forget this Tuesday, Jumping the Rail, we'll be talking about all the stuff going on, everything from SmackDown going to 3 hours to Grand Slam, everything in between. Wednesday, the 0-1 Shootout, we got Kenny Callis joining us if he's still alive after wrestling Gary J on Saturday. And then we're doing I think we're doing our Lucha Underground watch along on Thursday, Bari. AJ's finally getting his wish.
Yep.
And then also keep your eyes out for the Extreme Effin' Review podcast every Friday morning on Spotify and Audible. So that's what we got going on over here. Bari, it is 6:58. We're getting done just in time for SmackDown. How's that?
We are. I'm gonna grab me some dinner and get the hunker down and watch it.
Yep. And then I got to go between that and I got to go watch the Illini game. So I think I told the wife I'd take a shower. But anyway, so let's get out of here, Bari. We got some stuff going on.
All right, man.
Happy wrestling. I know you're going to some wrestling this weekend.
Yes, and we will keep you updated on anything that happens.
Please do.
I will.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us on this one. We'll see you next time when we talk about the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. Until then, for Bari, this is Reb. Mind y'all, life is hard, work stiff, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.